Two victims shot, one suspect on the run, and Milwaukee police closing in on a man who'd already proven he was willing to kill. What happened next would be captured on multiple body cams, a confrontation where officers faced a split-second choice, their lives or his. This is the story of a shootout that would test every second of training, every ounce of courage, and raise questions that still divide communities today.
The call came in at 2:47 a.m. on a warm July night in Milwaukee's North Side. Shots fired. Multiple victims down. Witnesses reporting a shooter fleeing on foot. Milwaukee Police District. 5 officers were dispatched immediately to the 2800 block of North 15th Street, a residential area that had seen increasing violence over the past year. When officers Marcus Johnson and Sarah Chun arrived at the scene, they found chaos. 2 victims, both male, mid-20s, with multiple gunshot wounds. Neighbors were screaming, some trying to help the victims, others running for cover, unsure if the shooter was still nearby. EMTs were minutes away, but the victims were critical. Officer Johnson immediately began applying pressure to wounds while Chun secured the scene and tried to get witness statements. The story that emerged was chilling. An argument at a house party had escalated. One man had pulled a gun and fired multiple times into a crowd before fleeing. Witnesses identified him as Zarius Williams, 28 years old, known to police from previous violent encounters. He said he'd kill anyone who disrespected him, one witness told Officer Chun, voice shaking. Then he just started shooting. Didn't care who he hit. Just wanted to hurt people. The EMTs arrived and rushed both victims to the hospital. One would survive after emergency surgery. The other would die from his wounds 2 hours later. What began as a shooting investigation was now a homicide case. Detective Raymond Torres arrived to take lead on the investigation. Based on witness descriptions and prior arrests, they had a positive ID on the shooter. Darius Williams wanted outstanding warrants for assault and weapons charges. He had a history of violent offenses going back a decade, and now he'd graduated to murder. We need to find him before he hurts anyone else, Torres told the assembled officers during a 6 a.m. briefing. He's armed, he's demonstrated willingness to use deadly force, and he knows we're looking for him. Treat this as high risk. No solo approaches. Tactical protocols for any contact. For the next 14 hours, Milwaukee police conducted an intensive manhunt. They checked Williams's known associates, his last known address, his family members' homes. They put out alerts to neighboring jurisdictions. They monitored his social media and known phone numbers. They were methodical, thorough, and increasingly concerned that Williams might strike again or flee the city entirely. At 4:32 p.m., they got the break they needed. A tip came through the anonymous hotline. Williams was hiding at his girlfriend's apartment on the city's west side, 47th and Vliet. The girlfriend, unaware of the shooting, had posted on social media about her boyfriend visiting. A friend who'd seen the news connected the dots and called police. Detective Torres organized the tactical response. This wasn't a situation for patrol officers knocking on doors. This required the Milwaukee Police Department's Tactical Enforcement Unit, effectively the SWAT team. A suspect who'd already killed one person and wounded another, who was known to be armed, who had nothing to lose. This was exactly the scenario that justified overwhelming tactical force. By 5:15 p.m., the tactical team had surrounded the apartment building, a 3-story structure with 12 units. Residents were quietly evacuated from adjacent apartments. Snipers took positions with clear lines of sight to Williams's girlfriend's second-floor apartment. Negotiators attempted phone contact, but Williams wasn't answering. The decision was made to conduct a forced entry. Waiting gave Williams time to arm himself further, take hostages, or escape through a back route. The tactical team approached the apartment door in standard stack formation, 6 officers in full tactical gear, ballistic shields, rifles, flashbangs ready. Milwaukee Police. Search warrant. Open the door. No response. We're coming in. Put your hands up and get on the ground. They breached the door with a battering ram. The flashbang was deployed, a non-lethal explosive designed to disorient through light and sound. The team flooded into the apartment, weapons up, clearing room by room with practiced precision. They found the girlfriend in the bedroom, screaming, hands up, terrified. No weapon, not a threat. Officers secured her and moved her out of the apartment immediately for her safety and to get information. Where's Darius? He left. He left like 10 minutes ago. He heard sirens and ran out the back. The tactical team had arrived minutes too late. Williams had escaped, but he couldn't have gone far. Officers repositioned, expanding the perimeter. 8 and 9 units were brought in to track his scent. A police helicopter circled overhead with thermal imaging data at 5:47 p.m. An officer spotted Williams 3 blocks away, moving through an alley behind commercial buildings. He was wearing a dark hoodie, hands in his pockets, moving quickly but trying not to draw attention. Suspect spotted, eastbound alley behind 44th Street businesses. Dark hoodie, black pants. Moving on foot. Multiple units converged. Williams saw the police cars turning into the alley from both directions and ran. The foot chase was on officers pursuing a murder suspect through tight urban terrain. Not knowing if he was armed, expecting at any moment that he might turn and fire. Officer James Martinez, a 7-year veteran, was closest. His body cam captured everything that happened next, footage that would be analyzed frame by frame, studied by use of force experts, and debated in community meetings for months. Martinez chased Williams through the alley, over a fence, through a backyard. Williams was fast, but Martinez was in shape and determined. They emerged onto a residential street, 43rd and Vliet, with Williams about 20 yards ahead. Asterisk, police. Stop, get on the ground. Williams turned. His hand went to his waistband. This is the moment every police officer trains for, but praise never comes. A split-second decision with life or death consequences. Is the suspect reaching for a weapon? Is he surrendering? Is he turning to comply or turning to fire? Officer Martinez's body cam shows Williams's hand emerging from his waistband. There's something dark in his hand. Martinez's training, his muscle memory from countless hours at the range, his survival instinct, all of it converged in that fraction of a second. Asterisk Martinez drew his service weapon and fired 3 rounds. Center mass. Williams went down. His hand opened. The dark object fell to the pavement. It was a cell phone. Other officers arrived within seconds. Martinez was on his radio immediately. Shots fired. Suspect down. Need medical. Williams was on the ground, conscious but wounded. Officers secured him, called for EMTs, began first aid. The scene was controlled within minutes, Williams handcuffed and receiving emergency care. Officers establishing the perimeter, evidence being protected. Williams survived. The bullets had struck him in the shoulder and torso, but missed vital organs. He would spend a week in the hospital under police guard, then be transferred to county jail to await trial for murder, attempted murder, and fleeing police, but the controversy was immediate. Williams was unarmed at the time he was shot. The object he'd reached for was a phone, not a gun. Officer Martinez had shot an unarmed man. The investigation that followed was thorough and multifaceted. The Milwaukee Police Department's Internal Affairs Division conducted their review. The Wisconsin Department of Justice, which investigates all officer-involved shootings in the state, opened their own investigation. And community activists demanded answers about why an unarmed man, even a murder suspect, had been shot by police. The body cam footage was eventually released publicly. It showed everything. Williams fleeing, Martinez pursuing, Williams turning with his hand at his waistband, Martinez firing. The entire sequence from Williams turning to Martinez firing took approximately 0.8 seconds. Use of force experts brought in to analyze the shooting concluded that Officer Martinez's actions were within policy. A reasonable officer in that situation, with the knowledge Martinez had pursuing a murder suspect who was known to be armed and had already used deadly force, would perceive the hand movement as a lethal threat. In that fraction of a second, Officer Martinez had to decide, the independent review stated. He was chasing a man who'd killed one person and wounded another hours earlier. He knew Williams was armed during that shooting. When Williams reached for his waistband while fleeing, Martinez had to assume he was reaching for a weapon. The alternative was to wait and see, and if it was a weapon, Martinez might not have gotten a chance to respond. But for community members, particularly in Milwaukee's black neighborhoods where police shootings have a fraught history, the explanation wasn't satisfying. Williams was unarmed. He was shot 3 times. Yes, he was a murder suspect, but he had constitutional rights to a trial, not street justice. We're not saying Darius Williams was innocent, community organizer Marcus Thompson told a crowded town hall meeting. He's charged with murder. He should face trial. But he should have faced trial. That's the system. Police aren't supposed to be judge, jury, and executioner. The fact that he was reaching for a phone, not a gun, that matters. The counter-argument from police unions and law enforcement advocates was equally passionate. Officers don't have the luxury of hindsight. They make split-second decisions based on limited information in high-stress situations. Williams created the circumstances of his own shooting by committing murder, fleeing police, and making a motion that reasonably appeared to be reaching for a weapon. Officer Martinez did everything right, the Milwaukee Police Association president stated. He pursued a violent felon. He gave commands. When that felon made a motion consistent with drawing a weapon, Martinez protected himself and the public. That's not excessive force. That's survival. The district attorney declined to file charges against Officer Martinez. The internal investigation found the shooting within policy. Martinez returned to duty after mandatory administrative leave and counseling, but the case remained divisive. Protesters held demonstrations outside the police station. Supporters of Martinez held counter-demonstrations honoring his service. The shooting became a flashpoint in ongoing debates about police use of force, racial justice, and how society balances officer safety against suspects' rights. Darius Williams eventually pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, attempted murder, and multiple weapons charges. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison. At his sentencing, he made a statement that surprised everyone. "I know people are arguing about whether the cop should have shot me. Truth is, I made that situation. I killed someone. I ran from police. I reached for my pocket while running. What did I think was gonna happen? I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying I created it. The cop didn't know I had a phone. For all he knew, I was pulling a gun to shoot him like I'd shot those other guys. I'm responsible for all of it, the murder, the chase, getting shot. That's on me." His statement didn't end the debate, but it added complexity to it. Even the suspect acknowledged the ambiguity of the situation, while also accepting responsibility for creating the circumstances that led to being shot. Officer Martinez rarely speaks publicly about the shooting. In one interview conducted a year later, he said simply, "I see that moment every night before I sleep. I see his hand going to his waist. I see my finger on the trigger. I've replayed it a million times, wondering if there was another way. But in that second, with what I knew, I made the choice I thought would let me go home to my family. I'm sorry it happened, but I'd probably make the same choice again if faced with the same information." Detective Torres, who coordinated the manhunt, reflected on the case. "This is modern urban policing in a nutshell. We have a murder suspect who's demonstrated he'll kill. We have officers risking their lives to apprehend him. We have a split-second decision that results in gunfire. And we have a community divided about whether it was justified. There are no easy answers. But I know one thing: if we hadn't pursued Williams, if we'd let him go because apprehending him was too dangerous or too controversial, and he'd hurt someone else, we'd be having a different conversation about why police didn't do their jobs. The two victims of the original shooting represent the forgotten part of this story. One survived with permanent injuries and PTSD. The other, Marcus Johnson, 24 years old, died and left behind a 3-year-old daughter. His family said they were glad Williams was caught, but wished the case hadn't become about the officer-involved shooting rather than their son's murder. "My boy was killed," Marcus's mother said at a victims' rights rally. "He died because someone decided his life didn't matter enough not to shoot him over an argument. I'm grateful police caught the man who did it. I'm glad he's in prison. But nobody talks about Marcus anymore. They talk about whether the cop should have shot the killer. And my son is just forgotten." Milwaukee continues to grapple with these issues. Police shootings, community trust, the balance between aggressive crime fighting and constitutional rights. The case of Officer Martinez shooting Darius Williams contains all of these tensions without resolving any of them. Officer Martinez still patrols Milwaukee streets. Darius Williams is in prison. Marcus Johnson is buried in Forest Home Cemetery. And the community remains divided about what happened that July evening when a foot chase ended in gunfire. There are no clean narratives here. No simple heroes or villains. Just a series of choices, some criminal, some tactical, some in fractions of seconds, that resulted in violence, consequences, and questions that don't have easy answers.